Good morning. Welcome back. Relatively quiet start to the week after last week's excitement. And so the trend is your friend, as what the intro said. What do we do? So things are starting to, well, they did a little bit accelerate. It's been quite a controlled kind of an uptrend, looking at the futures here. And there's certainly been some wiggles, right? Deep retracement, big bottoming tail bars, some short-term little vicious sell-offs. And so what do we do now? I, I think nothing. Right? Just continue to do what we do. We have a correction bar, and that low, while it's not a pivot, it will be after today. Right? So our systematic black and white review of trends, right? If we go back, amazing thing is, and this doesn't happen all that often, but we go back to the Liberation Day sell-off and the start, there was never, well, I think right there was, right? It looks like it was probably on a closing basis. Sometimes there's whipsaws, but there was no significant violation of major support the whole way up. Um, and in this one, so it wasn't on a closing basis. Regardless, that was a nasty sell-off at the time, and then a bullish 180. Rising moving averages. They've even gotten tighter together over here because of this consolidation. So last week we reviewed or I mentioned about the options expiration as often turns there, short-term turns, sometimes significant ones. Not most of the time they're relatively benign, in the context of the trend, but we still have internals that are neutral, but breath stinks, and it even flipped down on Friday. It went under zero. Now it's been under zero before, and markets continue to go back up again. So not reading too much into it, but with the advancement in the Russell, that's one market that began to kick it in, and quite a few others kind of haven't. But look, anyway, internals are neutral. The trend is up. There's probably going to be some kind of retracements like there have been. And maybe, September's, as far as the bear case, has been a bust, obviously. Um, it's just actually continued up, and it began to start a little bit of an acceleration in September to the upside. So the worst month of the year didn't turn out to be, right, one of the better months of the year. And so, momentum stalled at the end of last week, typical. And we'll just see where things go from here. All right. We look around, see any differences. And so the cues that were underperforming is obviously the futures that were underperforming prior to this advance because of semiconductors that were under some selling pressure, some uncertainty, and software. Right? We had looked at those. They made an about face. So let's take a quick peek at those just to review, what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago was the fact that software was actually declining and had violated major support, multiple pivot lows. And this was the worst looking thing at the time. And if you remember the pre-market review over here, we talked about, hey, what if this could hold this level, retesting this pivot and start to move up? This bearish case starts to be eliminated. And that happened in a big way. And so this is accelerated and extended short term. It's got a gap up and extended from the MAs. And this supports a bias that it's likely to be close to some type of retracement, regardless of the internals. And what's going to stop it? Well, maybe a whole number. There's nothing up there. So bar by bar, does it violate a prior bar's low on a closing basis? Until it does, we'll assume it goes up, but buying here doesn't make a whole lot of sense at all because the risk reward, just doesn't make any sense where you got to put a stop. And just putting a stop under a prior day's low, most of the time it's going to be foolish. The semiconductors also were the concern. And you remember this potential head and shoulders top that was forming, and we discussed, put an alert down here, put an alert up at the right shoulder, see what happens. And this topping pattern of distribution turned into a failure, went up, gap up last week. Now there's a void down below. Another index that suggests it's relatively close to some type of consolidation, which could be sideways, pull back. There should be buyers here. What was resistance becomes support, all of those basic things. So we'll see what happens there. And, the Dow has just been plodding its way. This is what we call a self-correcting uptrend. And overlapping bars, tails, chop, chop, chop. But it keeps working its way higher. It's down a little bit this morning. And the good thing is there's lots of support down below here because of the way it advanced. If it violates this, obviously will be kind of nastiness going on if that was to happen. The Russell was the big winner last Wednesday. Was that Wednesday or Thursday? Yes, it was Thursday. Friday, it took a rest. It's pulling back into the wide range bar. Looks great. It made a little marginal new all-time high. But factory work, wide range bar. Does it stay in the upper half? Does it go back down to the low? Right now, it's just within the range and pulling back. See the 65-minute support there. And so let's just take a quick look at the ETFs. So there's your move up in Friday. And where is it at? Under Friday's low. Trend is up. We assume buyers are going to come in. It's only Monday, but going under last week's low would not be a positive thing in the short term. Spiders, nice uptrend, short term extended. There's support. It came down to minus support and flipped back up again. It's inside of Friday's range and Thursday's range. Marking time. And the Qs. Short-term extended. Well, it's gapping down. It's not gapping down under Friday's low, but just based on that gap up, the extension from the 20, my expectation is it'll correct a bit, maybe come down into here and go sideways. What's going to get it moving today? You got these Fed guys talking. I don't think there's any economic news of significance today. I'm just taking a quick look here from what I remember over the weekend. Yeah, just Fed guys talking and some stuff Tuesday, the normal stuff. All right. I'll look at can see gold is up here again. So 6,600, that's the big level now. It was where prices were just chopping back and forth for about a week. Now they've exceeded it. 6,700 is within sights. These were the strikes that we took note of on Friday. Let's see where things are at here. Things gapping down a little bit, nothing of significance. Just 56.95. This comes up a little, even though it's down. So, all right. So at least it's below 6,600. And if it dips down early in the morning, it'll be able to do that tighter or go down below. 675. And this is coming down, so they're tightening up. Getting close. Look how close they are together versus when we have a wide range bar the prior day and they expand far apart from each other, making things relatively close to a no-brainer. So as we go into this week, this 6,600 level is, besides a whole number, it's significant. There's congestion there. And I haven't looked, but I'm sure there's a lot of open interest at further months out at that level. So important that that holds during the week on a closing basis. And to the upside, 6,700 should become a ceiling, at least in the short term. Transport's doing nothing, still, I wouldn't say bearish, but neutral. But you certainly want to have an alert down below there and up above here to see if they get moving, because this could be the one that starts to bring up the rear, especially if we got a topping tail that was ignored and it started to break out from here. There's a lot of dogs in there, underperformers. So maybe they just keep going down. But I don't know. Right now, they're in a relatively tight range. Look at the moving averages, how they're right next to each other. It's just a picture of a chart that says, stay away from me. I don't know what it's doing. Look at those. Look at those. Look at the transports. Interest rates. They started inching up last week. You can see here. And with them starting inching up last week, it was a relatively, I guess, kind of large reaction to it. The interest rate sensitive stocks. I mean, look at that pullback in Lennar. Now, where it moved up so nicely and a relatively minor move up in interest rates, and this thing collapsed under major support in two prior pivots. It held a 50 MA, but it's at a critical point that it needs to hold on to. And you can see, the other one, a little less severe, but pulled back to major support. And Home Depot held up much better, but still pulled in a little bit. So keep an eye on those interest rates. You can see Home Depot's reached what we refer to as a destination, the prior swing high there on the weekly chart. So it's another piece of information to suggest a short-term corrective price action is probably in the cards, along with the extension of the tech stocks that led the way up. Silver moving up. And new all-time. I think that's new all-time highs. Well, it is for the contract anyway. And gold, buyers at minor support, even though it came down deep, a little deep like that, still moving up. So bullish price action, inflation, hedges, certainly a strong belief that it's going to go higher to buy that little pullback. Interestingly, the dollar, I don't know what's up with that, but with short-term interest rates coming down as much as they have and gold going up and this thing coming back off of the low like that, That's bottoming action. So the intermarket relationships that would suggest it should have collapsed, it didn't. So we continue to keep an eye on it. Oil coming down to major support. And the most significant thing happening this morning is the drop in Bitcoin, which there's support here, but it was, trying to move higher. And now we've got this messy trading range, relatively wide trading range. So, short story to all of that, the majority of trends are up. Short-term correction, some kind of correction, I think day to day is likely, and we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, some of the mag stocks, Apple continues higher. Amazon's lower this morning. Google's a little lower this morning. Meta's up. By the way, did you hear that? I don't know if you saw that news. By the way, Microsoft looks fantastic. Whether it's options expiration. I saw a thing last night about them being aware of their AI bots influencing children to hurt themselves and doing some nasty stuff. So if you have kids and they're on their phones checking out AI, look at what they're doing. All yours, Dan.
Good morning. Yeah, that PISX there, I posted that earlier. Set no alarms. But this is one we had a full lot on. Been in trail mode. That's beautiful 1, 2, 3 breakout, void. It's just textbook. Social media. Wow, somebody on social media saying 5 dead speakers this morning, 17 this week, with Powell starting. Powell starting tomorrow, 12:30. AUPH. Beautiful. Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful, Thomas. When we do MT lives on breakouts, and people inevitably ask the question, well, how do you know if how do you prevent yourself from getting caught in a breakout failure? The answer is you don't. You just look for as many clues and many concepts that are in alignment. So we have igniting, we have bullish price action, we have downside shakeout. We had, 2 red bars ignored here, closing breakout on Thursday, higher high, higher high, higher low on Friday. Oh, it is a bio shoot. All right. All right. Do you know that, Thomas? But it is a good pattern. But I mean, I personally don't mind day trading bios, but yeah, there's obviously an extra layer of gap risk. That's for darn sure. Dow, yeah, the breakdown, daily, weekly. Sure, bearish on a day base. So yeah, it looks fine. I just posted this as a short too. I just found this pre-market. Um, same similar little topping tail upside shakeout. Has room to fall, sell set up weekly. So that I posted to subscribers. Let's look at alarms here. As always, a peace guy. Had a little up alarm. Now it's coming in. So let me reset it. But I like that over Friday. Or even 5 minute high. Peace guy. Recent IPO doing well. Railroad. We sold half near the high on Friday. I had a little down alarm go off, but we're holding these a core, so we have a big stop, but it's fine. And Fly. We entered this Friday and then found out it had earnings today after the bell. So we have to decide whether to try to get out on a bounce here or I just think there's too much risk. I'm gonna tell them now, let's try to get out. Earnings. There. I just don't want the risk. An Apple up alarm. It's gonna be a put spread. Actually gapped down today and clawed back. So that's good to go if filled. Let me tell them that. That's a nice pattern. Nice turn here, major support. 100% retracement, and that's a correction bar. So that looks higher. Yeah, a lot of these volume bars on Friday because of the expiration, but not all. So, I would say it's still a plus. People are buying it, right? So window dressing or not, it's bullish. Paul, we've been watching this for a while, and we liked this half lot over Thursday. So Greg, you and I were talking about stops last night. Just FYI, this stops under this red bar. If you know, you think
Didn't
it's
see that as
good.
an open position in the ETF last week.
Ah, is it?
Nope.
Then maybe we bought half.
Mm-mm.
Let me look. Uh, I don't see it open.
But it's a good buy setup.
No, it's not open. At least not on my dashboard. Setup. No, it's posted as a pending trade. All right, well, let's continue. I'm just pointing out, the stop that we talked about. I have it under this red bar. EMNR. Is it open, Rocco? Uh, I don't see it on my dashboard.
It's not there.
Right, Rocco. Right, it's in the
It's at the
letter as
bottom,
a
watching for entry.
correct as a new trade. Correct. All right, BMNR down alarm is going off. So I said move stock 5-minute low. We have an open game. We bought it on this breakout right here. We bought it on the 16th. So we only have a third left. So if it's 5-minute low, I'll be done with it. Ether, I mentioned it, Greg, this Bitcoin had a small Bear Island reversal on Friday. So, yeah, if you can get any call spreads in some of these ETFs. Coin, low alarm, we have a put spread on that. But I also like it as a directional over the highs. LSPD, I don't know. This must be an old alarm because I don't recognize it. FTNT, we have a half lot, that's fine. power. I got an alarm up there, nothing to do now. BTU, we're in trail mode. What a beautiful, beautiful pattern and entry. I'm not going to do it, but scroll back and look at the 15-minute chart, and you'll see how obvious it was where we entered on this day. INON bottom right here, Climo watch. I gap my low alarm went off. If this had weekly options, I'd be all over this for call spread, the 75s. Unfortunately, doesn't. Look at this one. Well, Sandisk is not turning yet. Well, there's a number of Climos like this that are just insanely strong. Look at this move from 48 and doubled in a couple of weeks. All right, those are my alarms. Let's just move up the watch list here. Neg. It'd be a great put spread, but I can't get any good juice here. Closing breakout. I mean, it looks like dead money. I mean, to me, it looks like a picture of the Bulls are, thinking that this is the home run entry, and it could be, but it just not moving very impressively. But I like the buy setup and reversal on the weekly. So that's on the watch list. 4Us, up alarm went off. We're already in this in trail mode. Looks great. Let me set a higher alarm. 1520. Well, oh, it's a sloppy bull rectangle. And it ran a lot from Thursday's low. So on patterns like this, I prefer a 1, 2, 3, but I do see it gapping up. So we're not going to get a 1, 2, 3. So I have no interest, Thomas, in a swing, but if you want to trade a pullback reversal pattern on the 15-minute chart would be fine. All right, peace guy alarm. I said wait 5-minute high, but that looks great. And this crazy strength. You will come back to earth. LYB alarm. That's a go. So all right. So opening price 51.76.
Russell not being loved like it was in the middle of last week. The Dow was on support, but all over the place. Let's get 5-minute low. Stop. Ava low alarm. So that's now on probation. Should not have retraced that much. ARCB alarm. That looks great. Daily, weekly, monthly 15. That looks fantastic. Let's make sure it's the friggin' spreads.
Shoot, if that had a tight spread, I guess would have pounded the bid. So I'm personally gonna wait for the spreads to settle down, or you go low offering. PNC here bouncing, I see here. That's still a go if it can get over Thursday fine. Deep Pro. Oh, is that stuffing out? No, not stuffing out. But let's move stuff on break even.